Welcome to our video on the new features in Black and White 8 and Black and White Video 2. This video is about the new features that have been added in both the photo and the video programs. Let's begin with an image I loaded earlier and take a quick look at the RAW module. You can open that under Edit, RAW Development, or by pressing the F4 key. And here, as we already know, we can pre-process or develop a raw image file or any loaded image file. A new addition at the bottom here is the artificial intelligence category in the black and white programs with various functions like tonal compression and image optimization. They can be applied as needed, maybe a bit of haze and fog correction. We can see its effects here in the top area. We have to be careful with that when working with JPEG images like this one. Then maybe we can add a bit of sunset effect here, or if we want to convert the whole image to autumn colors, you can do a whole load of things here. The RAW module has many new features to explore. Let's close this again and move straight on to the settings under Extras Settings. Here you'll find several new languages are available. If some of you prefer to work in another language, French, Italian, Spanish, Japanese, Polish, Portuguese, Dutch and Chinese, that's simplified Chinese and software, are available as languages, which can be activated whenever you want. Then we have new functions in image preparation. You can find them under Extras, Image Preparation. At the top here, there's a new section called Correction Images. Here you can add a dark frame and a flat frame that are then applied automatically when an image is loaded. This area has its own dedicated video. I'd recommend watching that because it's a quite extensive topic. So from the very top to the very bottom, here we can see the option to pre-select raw profiles. That lets you automatically render your imported raw images using one of these profiles. That also has its own videos with an in-depth guide to using this function for images in batch processing. Then let's go to the right to the area for grayscale conversion or black and white conversion, whatever you want to call it. And here we have the spectral sensitivity. Let's open it up briefly and you can see this whole range of spectral colors that we can control. We already know how to adjust the brightness of individual colors. I'll tweak the red of the flowers here a little and I can change that light to dark, whatever way I like. And these spectral sensitivities now have presets. We've often been asked if we could make some presets here because it's so tricky to set up with so many sliders. So we've developed some presets here and added them. You can just select them here or you can select the browser first. Click that, then everything is rendered at once and we can make our selection visually. And I'll choose warm tones darker and apply that as the spectral sensitivity. Good. Let's move on to a new image. I'll choose this portrait. This is part 2 of this video. A third part is coming, so will be a bit longer. Now, let's look at the general new additions. Firstly, in the interface toolbar, we can switch that off here. That means all the modules are hidden. They're still there, but aren't visible. And you can set up your own preferences. Let's add the magnifying glass, black and white conversion, selective drawing, and maybe LUT styles. I can set that up however I want, however I prefer. And if you close the program and reopen it, the program is displayed in exactly the same way again. Your interface settings are saved and the program remembers them. The main enhancements in the program, which are also the main themes of this new version, are the presets and effects. Much has happened here. For instance, in Black and White 8 Professional, where we are at the moment, we have 60 new presets. Let's go to the portrait area. In whichever category, you always find the new presets at the end of the category. We've done that so you don't have to get used to a new order. You may have already learned the order from the previous version. And down at the bottom here, there are different kinds of soft focus, like the prismatic effects. There's plenty to discover, and practically every category has new presets. There really are lots of new additions. All the presets have been enhanced with AI effects where that's useful. And if we switch to expert mode, of course, we need to switch on all the sections again because I switched everything off earlier. Here we can find a new effect category at the very top, artificial intelligence effects. This is where we are now. They include artistic effects, general ones, and landscape ones. Let's go to the artistic section. Let's scroll down. We can find some AI artwork effects here. The AI artwork effect 80s neon with neon colors. So very unique conversions that we can fine tune to using the parameters. I could work in a brush drawing here too, from fine to coarse, exactly how I want it. Or make it more detailed or less detailed. By doing so, we slightly adjust the neural networks that we trained in earlier for these effects. And of course, we also have normal new effects like soft focus, blending in the original image, color temperature, neon lights, bokeh lights, motif frames. There's much to discover there. Let's go to the lighting effects area quickly, scroll down again to our new additions. Here we can find different bokeh effects that we can add in black and white, in color, in heart shapes. I'm going to choose the heart shape bokeh effect, and then I can also choose from different variants here, which I can control in different ways. For example, I can change the aspect ratio to fit my picture, or increase or decrease the light effect. If I want, I can convert that back to black and white, if I just want a pure black and white image. As you can see, there's much to discover. There's a total of 35 new effects in there, of which 20 are AI effects and 15 are normal effects. So moving on to part 3. Let's load the third image. This part is about selective drawing. Let's go back to the finalize area briefly, switch all the interface elements on again, and reset the preset. As you can see, the interface remembers what I did earlier and lets me continue where I left off if I want. And in selective drawing, there are some new features. Let's scroll down a bit. If you don't like scrolling, you can switch off all the elements and then just switch on the element you need right now. That lets you get to selective drawing very quickly. And one new feature here in the 3D module is the depth of field module. That has its own separate video because it's a pretty extensive module. I highly recommend watching that. You can use it to move depth of field effects through the image using a depth map. Now, let's take a look at composing. To do that, enable this area at the top, activate a mask, and now we can see the 4 colorful buttons that open here. These are pre-made image collections that we can apply to our image. Clicking them opens a folder with these images, which come pre-installed and which you're free to use. And I'll choose some color splashes here. Let's paint them over the image up here with a brush. Selective drawing uses a contour brush, so I'll turn contour detection off and paint over this area with a low opacity. The yellow tint is because the mask is set to yellow. I'll remove that. To start with, that might not look that spectacular as we're just painting over it at first, but it starts to get interesting when we go into layer calculation and choose, let's say, multiply brightness. We can amplify that effect a bit more. Then we can render this effect with the image. Or maybe we can take a separate image. I've prepared a fabric texture for that here. Let's remove that and apply the fabric texture over the full area of the image. I'll use invert mask to do that on an empty mask. That covers it completely. And now we choose the layer calculation superimpose. You can see that becomes a bit more colorful because the original texture has some color. We can take that out again here using these color sliders. All these sliders that you see here belong to the composing image. At the bottom here, there's a new area for highlights, shadows, and color balance. And there are two important new sliders for horizontal and vertical distortion. If we now apply the image over the top, we can see it looks nice, but it isn't exactly spectacular yet. Ideally, we want the distortion or the folds in the fabric to be included in the rendering here. That would look great. We can do that using this distortion, the horizontal and vertical distortion. As you can see, it now bends with the fabric. If I now click on horizontal distortion, then the focus is placed on this element. And now I can move this slider with the arrow keys, which I'm doing right now. And then we can see how that distorts the image. And now we can render the distortion, or the folds of the fabric here, in the image. That's definitely a great new addition. I'm now going to close selective drawing and show you one more new function that I think is really important. That's the replace current image function. It's not for loading a new image. Instead, let's do it now. Open the file menu. It's replacing the current image. We see a message advising us that it would be good for the image to have roughly the same aspect ratio and to be roughly the same size, because that's when it works best. Let's confirm that. And now we load a new image. And we can quickly see why this function is so interesting. Because the function retains all the existing settings. They're all kept, including the selective drawing. Everything that you did in the program is retained, and the image is replaced and applied with all that. So you can apply a project setting that you made to the various images in one project. And we can see down here, an undo step has been created with the previous image. And if I now go back to this undo step, another undo step with the new image is saved. Now I have the two image edits in one project, and I can use them to work with the exact same settings. So I hope you got something from that and found it all interesting. There's plenty more to discover, but you'll definitely find that out yourself pretty quickly. Have fun.